Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about 5 of my favorite exercises to work on saxophone tone. Saxophone tone is one of those things that is very subjective, and some people really like my sound and some people really don't, but these 5 exercises I think are applicable to everyone. Improving tone can be done both mentally and physically, so before we get into some actual exercises you can do, let's talk about the mental side of things. The first thing that you're going to want to do on the mental side of things is have an ideal sound concept, so go listen to some recordings of your favorite saxophonist and try and pick out your ideal sound. The next thing, which you can do throughout all of these 5 exercises that we're going to talk about, is constantly think about, are you hitting that target of your ideal sound? Do you sound like that person? And what are some physical things you can do to get closer to that target? When I'm practicing, I try and always keep tabs on how my tone sounds, and I try and always sound my best. So for the first exercise I like to do, we're actually going to take off the neck and mouthpiece and just work on the mouthpiece to start. The reference pitch that I like to shoot for is going to be concert A. And before I forget, you're probably going to want ear protection for this. So I'm going to set my drone. I'm using TE tuner and I'm going to set it to concert A. This is octave number 5. You might not get that right away, and that's okay, especially if you're beginning out on saxophone. This is an exercise that you're going to want to work towards. When working towards that A, you're going to want to make sure you have equal embouchure pressure all the way around the mouthpiece. You don't want to bite too much or else that's going to pinch the pitch up. And you also want to make sure that the back of your tongue is nice and high and voiced. The manipulation of the back of the tongue is something we call voicing and is a more advanced concept, but it's something to start working on, especially if you're getting into some of these exercises. I'm going to do a descending Remington all the way down with the goal being an octave. I like to use a piano for this exercise to get the concert A reference and then whatever pitch I'm descending to next. And so on and so forth until you get all the way down to an octave. And see, it took me a long time to get down to an octave. Up until around last year, which is about 8 years of playing, I could only get down to around a D or a C. When manipulating the pitch on the mouthpiece, you're going to want to use that voicing technique that I was talking about a minute ago, where you manipulate the back of the tongue only. You might think about using your jaw to lower the pitch, which you definitely can. However, for this technique, we really want to isolate the back of the tongue. The next exercise I want to talk about is more of a vibrato exercise and definitely on the mental side of things. So for this exercise, you're going to want to pick a sequence of notes. I like to start on octave G and work my way down chromatically. And all I'm doing is holding out that note until I like the sound of it, which is very much on the mental side of things. And then I'm going to add vibrato and see if I can maintain that nice sound that I got with just the straight tone. There's a few things to think about and experiment while doing this exercise. One thing to consider is embouchure pressure. Another is tongue awareness, especially the back of the tongue, that voicing that we were talking about. Tip of the tongue awareness is another one. Those are all good things to think about while doing this exercise. Another add-on you can do is go to your metronome. I like to use TE tuner because you can go to the analysis tab and you can see the waveform. You want to play the exercise and observe the tuner. During the straight tone part, are you staying in tune the whole time? And then once you add vibrato, does the pitch drop a lot? How does your vibrato shape? All that sort of stuff. Another tone exercise that I like to start my practice sessions off with is drone work. Depending on the day, I like to just pick a random key. So let's pick something simple for today. I'm gonna go with concert B flat. Concert B flat is gonna be our G scale, so I'm gonna stay in G major and just noodle around a little bit and try and stay in tune with that reference pitch on concert B flat or our G. As you can hear, that drone reacts to different notes in different ways. You can hear the waves get really crunchy on the minor second and then open up when we get to that perfect fourth. You can sort of choose your own adventure with this and sort of go a little bit more systematically or a little bit more freely. Maybe you want to noodle around and improvise, that's something I like to do sometimes, or we can do more of a Remington, ascending and descending, to really lock in some of those intervals. The next tone exercise I like to do is an interval exercise. For this exercise, you can pick a note and then just go up diatonically from there. Work on connecting those intervals as smoothly as you can. A good key area you can work on is around the break, which is from C sharp to D. So a more specific exercise that I like to do is start on middle D and just work your way down and cross the break every interval. See, that one wasn't good, so you want to do it again and get it right. You want to try and avoid as much of a break between the notes as you can so that interval can be nice and smooth. The fifth and final exercise I like to do is an overtone matching exercise. So if you haven't started overtones yet, this is a good place to start. So for an overtone, we're going to finger a lower pitch but voice a higher pitch. So for this exercise, we're going to work with the first interval, which is an octave. Go ahead and play middle B flat. And then play low B flat. So the goal of this exercise is to play middle B flat with low B flat. And get that tone as stable as possible. If you're having a hard time getting that first overtone out, here's a trick. You're gonna wanna play middle B flat and then quickly wiggle the middle finger in your left hand. It should pop out after you try that. So to get onto this exercise, what I like to do is play the pitch that I'm aiming for, so in this case, middle B flat. Get a nice sound that I really like, and then we're gonna go back and forth, middle B flat, overtone, middle B flat, and try and stabilize that middle pitch as much as possible. The tuning is going to sound a little off, and that's okay. You can work your way up the horn after that, so let's do B. So on and so forth. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you have questions about any of the exercises that I talked about today, go ahead and comment down below any questions that you have, and I will get to those as soon as I can. Like I said at the beginning of this video, tone is completely subjective, so if you don't like any of these exercises that I talked about today, then you don't have to use them. I'm just talking about some of my favorite ones that I like to use in my daily practice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.